Hello, dear listeners, and welcome to eStory, where we bring you inspiring tales from across time and cultures. Today, we invite you to join us on a journey to the heart of Rwanda, the land of 1,000 hills, where legends are born and courage knows no bounds. Our story is about Ndabaga, a young woman whose unyielding spirit and unwavering love for her father led her to defy tradition and become one of the greatest warriors of her time. Born into a world where only sons were expected to take up arms, Ndabaga's resolve and bravery carved a path that would change the course of history. This is a tale of honor, sacrifice, and the indomitable will to fight for what is right. Sit back, relax, and let us transport you to a time of great warriors and even greater deeds as we unfold the incredible story of Ndabaga, the warrior's daughter.
Once upon a time, in a village nestled in the country of 1,000 hills, there lived a man named Ndabaga, a renowned warrior whose bravery was spoken of in every corner of the land. He was a man of honor, respected and feared by many. When his wife bore him a daughter, they named her Ndabaga. She was their only child, a cherished treasure, though her birth brought with it a shadow of fear. Ndabaga had no son to carry on his legacy or to rescue him from the harsh realities of the warrior's life. Ndabaga's duty called him to the battlefield, leaving behind his newborn daughter and her mother. He fought valiantly, earning his place among the great warriors, but time passed, and his absence grew longer. Meanwhile, Ndabaga grew, the fire of her father's legacy burning within her, though she knew him only through the stories her mother told.
As Ndabaga blossomed into a young woman, she noticed the unease in her mother's eyes whenever the village spoke of the warrior's return. The other men who had gone to battle with her father returned, one by one, to their families, but Ndabaga remained in the king's service. One evening, unable to bear the silence any longer, Ndabaga asked her mother, "Why does my father never return home?" Her mother sighed deeply, her eyes clouded with sorrow. "Your father is bound by his duty. He cannot leave the king's service until a son comes of age to take his place, or another warrior of his bloodline is strong enough to free him."
"But I am his blood," Ndabaga replied, her voice firm. "Why should I not be the one to free him?" Her mother's eyes widened in shock. "Ndabaga, you are a girl. The ways of warriors are not meant for you."
But Ndabaga's resolve only grew stronger. She could not accept a world where her father remained a prisoner of duty because she was not born a son. The fire within her blazed brighter, and she decided she would train herself in the arts of war. If no one would allow her to be a warrior, she would become one through sheer determination. While other girls in the village busied themselves with chores and preparation for marriage, Ndabaga spent her days and nights in secret training. She taught herself to shoot arrows with deadly precision, to leap and tumble like the swiftest of the king's scouts, and to wield a spear with the strength of a seasoned warrior. But still, she knew that this would not be enough. The villagers noticed her absence from traditional women's work and whispered behind her back. They laughed at her odd behavior, mocking her for taking on tasks meant for men. But Ndabaga was unshaken. She saw the fear in her mother's eyes each time they spoke of her father, and that alone drove her forward.
Years passed, and Ndabaga's skills grew to rival those of any man in the village. Yet she knew that to truly walk the path of a warrior, she needed to erase any doubt about her resolve. She sought out the blacksmiths, the keepers of the village's weapons and armor, and asked them to perform a task that would solidify her commitment. "Cut my breast," she demanded, her voice unyielding. "Remove them, so that I may fight as a man." The blacksmiths hesitated, their faces grim. "This was no ordinary request. What you ask of us is not just painful, it is dangerous," one of them warned.
"I will endure it," Ndabaga replied without flinching. "And if you do this, I will reward you handsomely."
Seeing the determination in her eyes, the blacksmiths reluctantly agreed. The forge was dimly lit, the air thick with the scent of molten metal. As the blacksmiths heated their tools, Ndabaga sat in silence, her heart steady, her mind focused on the vision of her father's freedom. The procedure was excruciating, but Ndabaga did not cry out. Her face was set in a mask of determination, her teeth clenched as the heated blades cut through her flesh. The blacksmiths worked quickly, binding her wounds with care, knowing that what they were doing was both a physical and spiritual transformation. When it was done, Ndabaga stood, weakened but unbowed. She had sacrificed a part of herself to become something greater. When she returned home, her mother was horrified by what her daughter had done. "Ndabaga, what have you become?" she cried.
"A warrior." Ndabaga answered simply, "I will free my father." Her mother wept, but she could see that her daughter's mind was set. With a heavy heart, she prepared her daughter for the journey ahead. She knew there was no stopping her now. Ndabaga set out at dawn, joining the ranks of the king's warriors under the guise of a young man. She was an enigma among them, a warrior who fought with unmatched skill and precision. Her fellow soldiers admired her strength and cunning, yet none suspected her true identity. But the path she had chosen was not without peril. As she made her way to the king's encampment, where her father was held, she faced challenges that tested her resolve at every turn. Rival warriors, sensing something different about her, sought to undermine her, challenging her to duels and daring her to prove her worth. Each time, Ndabaga fought not just to win, but to survive. The stakes were higher for her than for any other warrior. A single mistake, a single slip, could reveal her secret and doom her father to a life of servitude. One night, as the warriors gathered around the campfire, a seasoned veteran named Rwanda approached her. He was a man known for his keen instincts and sharp eyes. "You fight well, young one," he said, his voice tinged with suspicion. "But there is something about you that doesn't sit right with me."
Ndabaga met his gaze, her expression unreadable. "I am here to serve the king, just like you," she replied evenly.
Rwanda narrowed his eyes. "Perhaps. But I've seen many warriors in my time, and I've learned to trust my instincts. You're hiding something, aren't you?" Ndabaga's heart pounded in her chest, but she remained calm. "We all have our secrets," she said softly. "Some are just better kept than others." Rwanda studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "Indeed. But boy, remember this. Secrets have a way of coming to light, and when they do, the truth can be more dangerous than any weapon." With that, he walked away, leaving Ndabaga to ponder his words. She knew that her time was running out. She had to find her father and complete her mission before anyone else grew too curious.
The next morning, Ndabaga approached the commander of the camp, her heart racing. "I wish to see the warrior Nyamutesi," she said. "He is my father." The commander looked at her in surprise. "Your father? Why have you not mentioned this before?" "I was waiting for the right moment," Ndabaga replied. "Now, I must speak with him." The commander hesitated but then nodded. "Very well, he is in the eastern quarter." Ndabaga made her way to the eastern quarter of the camp, her breath quickening with each step. When she finally saw her father, she could barely contain her emotions. He was older, his once powerful frame now bent with age and exhaustion. But his eyes were still sharp, still filled with the fire of a warrior. "Father," she whispered as she approached him.
Nyamutesi looked up, startled by the sound of her voice. "Who are you?" he asked, his brow furrowed.
"It's me, Ndabaga," she said, kneeling before him. "I have come to free you."
Nyamutesi's eyes widened in shock. "Ndabaga? But how?" Nyamutesi shook his head. "No, I cannot allow that. You are my daughter, not my son. You cannot fight in my place." Nyamutesi wanted to test her, so he gave her a bow to see if she could shoot, setting a target for her. Ndabaga shot the target perfectly. He then gave her a spear and told her to throw it at a certain spot. She threw it and surpassed the spot. He then asked the boys her age to race her, and Ndabaga outran them all. Seeing this, her father praised her and agreed to present her as his replacement, saying, "Here is my successor." The warlord agreed and sent Nyamutesi home. Tears filled Nyamutesi's eyes as he realized the depth of his daughter's determination. He saw in her the strength and courage that had made him a warrior. "Very well," he said, his voice breaking, "but promise me you will be careful. The life of a warrior is not an easy one."
"I promise," Ndabaga whispered, her voice filled with emotion. "Now go, before it's too late."
Nyamutesi embraced his daughter one last time before slipping away into the night. Ndabaga watched him go, her heart heavy with the weight of her decision. She knew that the days ahead would be filled with danger, but she was ready. She would face whatever challenges came her way, for the sake of her father and for the legacy of their family. Ndabaga stayed at the warfront, She learned all the practices of that time, mastering them all, becoming an exceptional warrior, admired and loved by everyone. Due to her dedication and obedience, she was always set as an example, which earned her many cattle.
From the moment she had stepped into the camp, Ndabaga had been an enigma. Her skill with a bow, her precision with a spear, and her agility on the battlefield set her apart from the others. She outperformed most of the men, and her comrades began to whisper that there was something extraordinary about this young warrior. Yet no one suspected that the fearless soldier who stood beside them was, in fact, a young woman in disguise. Living in the camps was a test of endurance. The harsh conditions, the grueling training, and the constant threat of battle wore down even the most resilient soldiers. But Ndabaga thrived. She pushed herself harder, trained longer, and learned faster. She was determined to live up to the legacy of her father, Nyamutezi, and to prove that she was more than capable of carrying the weight of his honor.
However, the challenges were not just physical. The need to maintain her disguise weighed heavily on her. Every day was a delicate dance of deception. Avoiding situations where her true identity might be revealed, steering clear of the prying eyes of her fellow soldiers, and masking the natural instincts and habits that might give her away. She spoke little, kept to herself, and focused solely on her duties. But the walls were closing in, and she knew that her secret could not remain hidden forever. The turning point came during a fierce battle that would become the stuff of legend. As the enemy forces advanced, Ndabaga led her unit with unmatched courage, rallying her comrades and holding the line when all seemed lost. Her valor on the battlefield caught the attention of the higher-ups, and word of her heroics spread quickly through the camp. It was during this battle that she earned the respect and admiration of all who fought beside her. Seeing this, others began to envy her, because she was surpassing them in wealth despite being new.
But with recognition came scrutiny. Some of her own people, who knew she was a girl, began to grumble, saying, "How can Ndabaga surpass us in wealth when she is a girl?" Whispers began to circulate, questioning the true identity of the mysterious warrior. Some soldiers who had fought alongside her noticed peculiarities: her voice, her mannerisms, her reluctance to undress in the communal areas. And then, one fateful night, the truth was finally revealed. A fellow soldier, suspicious of her secrecy, followed Ndabaga as she slipped away from the camp to bathe in solitude. What he saw confirmed his worst fears. Ndabaga was not the young man she claimed to be, but a woman who had defied tradition, society, and the law to fight for her father's honor. The soldier, stunned and uncertain of what to do, decided to report the discovery to his superior officers. The news traveled swiftly up the chain of command and eventually reached the ears of the king himself. The king was astonished. He had heard tales of Ndabaga's bravery, of her unmatched skill in battle, and of her unwavering dedication to her comrades. Yet, the revelation that she was a woman shook him to his core. In the history of the kingdom, no woman had ever taken up arms alongside men, let alone distinguished herself as one of the finest warriors.
The king summoned Ndabaga to his court. As she stood before him, she felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. She knew that her fate hung in the balance. She could be executed for her deception, or worse, her father's honor could be stripped away. But Ndabaga stood tall, her eyes unwavering as she met the king's gaze. She did not beg for mercy. Instead, she recounted her journey, her determination to save her father, and the sacrifices she had made to uphold the values she held dear. The king listened in silence, his face a mask of contemplation. When Ndabaga finished, the room was thick with tension. Finally, the king spoke, his voice resonating with authority. "Ndabaga, you have broken the law, but in doing so, you have shown unparalleled courage and devotion. You have proven that bravery and honor are not bound by gender. For this, I cannot punish you. Instead, I will reward you." With those words, the king declared that Ndabaga would be granted the title of a warrior of the kingdom. Her father would be released from his duties, and Ndabaga would be honored as one of the greatest soldiers to ever serve the crown. The king also decreed that from that day forward, women would be allowed to serve in the kingdom's army, for Ndabaga had shown that the spirit of a warrior knows no gender.
Ndabaga's triumph was celebrated far and wide. She had not only fulfilled her promise to her father but had also paved the way for future generations of women to follow in her footsteps. In Rwanda, her name became synonymous with bravery, determination, and the power of the human spirit to overcome any obstacle.
We hope this tale has touched your heart and inspired you to live with courage, respect, and a quest for wisdom. As we wrap up, let's reflect on the powerful lessons Gato's experience imparts.
Lesson 1. Breaking societal barriers. Ndabaga's story teaches us the importance of challenging societal norms and expectations. By stepping into a role traditionally reserved for men, she demonstrates that true strength and capability are not confined by gender.
Lesson 2. Courage in the face of adversity. Ndabaga's determination to rescue her father, despite the risks, highlights the power of courage. Her bravery in taking on the roles of a warrior shows that fear should never hold us back from doing what is right.
Lesson 3. The power of self-determination. Ndabaga's decision to take control of her fate, even altering her physical appearance to fit her chosen path, is a testament to the power of self-determination. It's a reminder that we have the power to shape our destinies through our actions and choices.
Lesson 4. Unyielding love and loyalty. At the heart of Ndabaga's journey is her deep love and loyalty to her father. Her actions underscore the lesson that love can drive us to achieve great things, often pushing us beyond our perceived limits.
Lesson 5. Redefining strength and success. Ndabaga's story redefines what it means to be strong and successful. It teaches us that true strength comes from within, and that success is measured by our ability to overcome challenges and stay true to our values.
Thank you for listening to this captivating tale on e-story. If you enjoyed Gato's incredible journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss a story that inspires and teaches.